Now, I know there are Republicans in Congress who disagree with my approach. Like I said in my State of the Union, if they have ideas that will help middle-class families feel some economic security, I'm all in to work with them. But I will keep doing everything I can to help more working families make ends meet and get ahead.
It's at moments such as these we sit back and enjoy watching the Washington Wheel of Fortune begin to spin. The president has a budget in mind. Congress still tuning up with plenty of opposition. The American taxpayer is about to be hammered again. And the back channel, backroom dealing, full swing. The battle between right and left heats up, so let's get to it. Welcome to MidPoint from the Democratic point of view. Media strategist, former White House advance man, and a campaign field organizer for the 2008 Obama campaign, Franco Ripple. And from the Republican side of matters, senior project manager at Hathaway Strategies, former spokesman for George W. Bush, Pete Seat. Gentlemen, we thank you both for being here today.
Thank you, Ed.
Pete, I'm going to get to you first. Here it comes. Wait a minute, Pete. This is necessary. The president has to do this. We've got to raise money. The corporations are all about gouging the American people, and it's about time they paid their fair share. Go.
Well, I'm going to follow up on your Wheel of Fortune metaphor to say that the Obama budget is all about landing on bankrupt for the American people. It's about more spending, more taxes, more of the same. This is what Barack Obama has been doing his entire time in the Oval Office, is trying to increase taxes, increasing our spending, adding to the debt that my generation is going to have to pay off. It's going to eclipse $26 trillion by 2025 based on this budget proposal. He's more interested in politics than in governing, and there's no clearer indication of that than this budget.
Go ahead, Franco. Dig in. Your response.
Well, all due respect to my friend Pete, he's absolutely right. We are looking, our generation is looking down the rabbit hole of what the future holds. And I think that this is a budget that absolutely invests in that future. It invests in infrastructure, American infrastructure, which we know is lagging behind now the rest of the world. It invests in people. It invests in our human capital through investments in paid childcare and low-income tax credits. And I think this is not a budget that's going to, all elements of it, pass Congress. But it's a roadmap for America's future and for our generation.
Wait a minute. Hang on a sec here, because I'm going to hit you with another one. Franco, this one comes to you. This is ridiculous. All we want to do is keep taxing over and over again. What about saving? What about cutting some of the waste? Why isn't the president in Washington doing that? What are you people doing to us? Sorry, Franco, I get a little bit excited when that gets in here. But you know that's how people are thinking right now. All you're doing is taxing us into a hole.
Well, you know, some people may say that, but Ed,
But they do say that, Franco. Not that they may. They do say that. And doesn't the evidence point out that the American public is continuing to be taxed?
I don't think that it does, because if you look at what this budget does, which, by the way, there are many things in this budget that Republicans and Democrats, including the president, are going to look forward to working together on. And one of those is lowering the corporate income tax rate down to 28% from its current 35%. Part of that is a 14% tax on repatriating overseas profits from American corporations. That is something that uber Republican Rand Paul has proposed doing. There are other parts of this budget that Paul Ryan embraced, which is increasing the low-income tax credit, like I said. So, no, I don't think it's all about taxing the American people into oblivion. I think it's about reducing our deficit, which this budget does, reducing the debt as a proportion of the economy and GDP, which this budget does.
All right, Pete, your turn. Go ahead. And I got to tell you, I heard the words in there, repatriating profits. Is that not just another word for saying you made the profits, bring them home or else?
Yeah, we like to use a lot of fancy words like, you know, as it relates to our overall GDP. Well, it's one way to talk about that. I know Democrats like to use that talking point, but the fact of the matter is the debt will increase in hard, raw dollars, and that is what our generation is going to have to face. I did notice in your response as well a lot of the word invest. That's another thing Democrats are saying over invest, 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 invest. This budget is about spending. It's about more taxes. It's about more debt. It's about politics. President Obama is not serious about governing and working with Republicans who won the United States Senate in November, who retain their majority in the United States House of Representatives. I don't have the best memory, but I remember that night in November 2014, just a few months ago. It seems like President Obama has already forgotten it happened.
All right, now, Franco,
Ed, can I respond to that?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Okay, because here's the thing. I'm glad that Pete just used the word serious in his response, because another person who said serious about this budget is House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy. He said this was not a serious proposal. And to be honest with you, I think it's not only a serious proposal, I think he just seriously doesn't like it because it's seriously better than anything that he or his party have proposed for the American future. And yes, I did use the word invest, and so did the president, because as he said yesterday at the Department of Homeland Security, the time for mindless austerity has passed. This president powered us through the recession, got us through to the other side, and yes, it's time for the Republican Congress, recalcitrant as they may be, to work together with the president to invest in America's future.
Pete, I got a couple of minutes left here. Is the president here playing a little bit of a shell game? Perhaps he's trying to say, all right, I want this, you want this, let's play some deals, because you and I both know already there's a lot of talk about back-channel dealings in Washington, and maybe the Republicans will give a little here, the Dems will give a little here. So this is more of a gamesmanship than anything else with the president.
President Obama hasn't shown that he's interested in deals with a Republican Congress. You know, the president in the clip before this segment said Republicans need to put forward ideas and plans. That's what they've been doing. Paul Ryan and others have put together serious budget proposals that will balance this nation's budget and put us on a trajectory to pay off the debt. And the president just swatted that away and said, oh, I'm not interested in that. So if he wants to play the deal-making game, he's going to have to actually act like he means it and not just put this forward, which I think is nothing more than a campaign proposal for 2016 than a governing budget for 2015.
Franco, 60 seconds. Come on, let's make a deal, right?
Well, Ed, here's the thing. It's hard. Making a deal is like playing a game. And let's imagine that game is Russian roulette. It's hard to play a game of Russian roulette with people who have bullets in every chamber. And by that I mean, if you look at how Republicans have funded this year's budget, they've funded the entire government through September, except for the Department of Homeland Security. How can you not fund the agency purely over politics, by the way? It's not over any substantive policy whatsoever. They claim it's over an exception to the president's immigration stance and the executive orders, but how do you not fund the U.S. Coast Guard, Customs and Border Protection, immigration and customs enforcement? It's reckless and irresponsible to not fund those things in their entirety. And so I don't think this budget is about politics. Like I said, I think there are plenty of things that Republicans like Paul Ryan and even Ted Cruz and Rand Paul are going to find able to work together with this president on, some of which I've already laid out today.
All right, we're going to have you guys back. We're all out of time, but we'll do it again and figure out exactly when these two sides start dealing. Franco Ripple and Pete Seat will call an end to the arena this time out. Gentlemen, thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Ed.
All right, it's
Thanks,
indeed
Ed.
the end of a business era. A venerable mall franchise is going under. Where do you get your transistors now? It's coming up next.